Great show today. We discuss a six-figure sale negotiated on Brand Bucket, plus, of course, sales on GoDaddy Auctions and Dan as well. We talk about selling or acquiring domains that will need a back-end build versus not. Talk about Psilocybin, the new cannabis, if anybody's looking for some speculative investing. Also, huge SEO swings this week due to a Google algorithm change, rolled out, unrolled, and definitely going to be re-rolled. Super, super show. Enjoy. Hey, Sherpa Network. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tess Diaz, executive producer of DomainSherpa.com, and today we're doing the DomainSherpa review. This is the show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. We have 3 segments to the review. We'll start off learning what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Next, we'll discuss some domains going to auction soon at NameJet.com and whether the Sherpas think they're a good investment opportunity for you. And then we'll complain about the Google algorithm change and unchange and whatever else is happening on the market today. Joining us, 3 past Sherpas and industry thought leaders. Alvin Brown, what's going on?
Hey there, Tess. How are you?
Great. It's so good to have you on the panel. What's new? What's happening?
Not much. Not much. Getting ready for school. We hope. So we'll see what happens there with our kids. But other than that, sitting in this room by myself every day and trying to sell domains.
All right. All right. Sean Markey, I am so glad you came on a panel. SEO man himself. What's happening?
Not much. Just working as usual. Feel like all I do is work.
Well, I hope
12-hour days.
And give us the drum set for at least a minute on the show. One of the last shows,
Probably not.
Drew tried to convince somebody to play who was it? Joshua Schoen. He tried to convince him to play the keyboard behind him. So I think it's only fair to try pressure you on the drums. And Shane, like ultimate dedication. This guy, Shane Cultra, is amazing. First of all, domain names aren't even your main gig. That's your side thing that you do in your free time. And on top of that, you come on this show all the time for free for the Sherpa Network to just listen and learn, even on vacation from a super secluded New York cabin. And not only that, folks, Shane's level of dedication, he even packed for the trip and wore his NameJet shirt. I'm impressed.
I'm not going to lie, Uniregistry and the NameJet swag that I've gotten at the conferences are my 2 favorite shirts. I made fun of everybody for wearing the Uniregistry V-neck. I was like, I don't know, that's a little too feminine. Now I wear it every day. It's like the most comfortable shirt I have. We need to get conferences live again just so I can pick up some sweet shirts.
I only like the V-necks. I really don't like the other shirts.
I like them too. And NameJet's good to us. It's what helps us all keep going. So
I agree, but I have never gotten a Uni or a NameJet t-shirt.
I'm sure we can arrange that.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. But serious dedication, dude. Thanks for being here.
I wouldn't miss it, especially with these 2 guys. I haven't worked with these 2, and internet is much more available than it used to be. You know, that's changed a lot. You can't even have a cabin in the middle of nowhere. We're quarantining, not seeing anybody, and they still got great internet. Nothing else. I literally do not have a toilet in here, but I've got high-speed Wi-Fi. Gotta love it.
That's wild. Yeah. Maybe a little too much information, but
hey, just saying, I tell you, it's not something you think about till you wake up in the middle of the morning and think, what do we do from here?
Says a man. Let me tell you, I would have thought about that before I showed up. All right, let's do this, kids. What's new, Sherpas? So we're going to share one purchase or sale you've made somewhat recently, learn what you paid or received for the domain, and how the negotiations went, just to get a sense of the market today and what's happening. Alvin, you are up first. So name one domain you've bought, sold, or brokered in the past few weeks, hopefully, but whatever. Ideally, don't tell us any price or details at all, so we get a good guess on the market first.
Gotcha. Well, this domain I sold last month. It kicked off my sales for last month, and it is minoritybusinessloans.com.
Ooh, minority business loans, plural, .com. Great timing on the sale, I would think. All right, guys, what do you think that he paid for it? Shane, you want to go first?
You sold it, right, Alvin?
Yeah, I sold it.
Oh, sorry. I knew that. I just didn't drink my coffee.
It's really great CPC, very specific, and a fantastic financial name. The key is, no, I don't know Alvin as well as, you know, I know who holds forever, who needs to keep turning and burning. So I would say, there's a car. I would say 12,500 because I think it's worth a lot more. But I also know that he's probably going to turn and burn. The school's not coming.
Okay, all right.
I'll say 12.5.
12.5 it is. What do you think, Sean?
I'm going to come in a bit lower for a 3word.com. I'll say 5,500.
5,500. All right. I like the spread between you two. You're right. I mean, it's a long 3 letters too.
But it's exactly, but it is a particular, you know, niche that people are looking for right now.
Absolutely.
So I think that that's my opinion why it's worth. It's long, but you need those adjectives to make it what it is. Without it, it isn't anything special.
Yeah. And without knowing the search volume on it, I mean, definitely no matter what, this is the time to sell a name like that. All right, Alvin, lay it out for us.
93.50.
All right, 93.50. That is
nice,
a very
congrats.
specific number. Sounds like there was some negotiation happening.
So the story behind it, so I actually purchased it back in 2017, February of 2017 for $116. And, you know, kept it for 3 years. Yeah, expired auction from GoDaddy. Kept it for basically those 3 years, so 3 renewals, so basically $140 total cost. And the person who purchased it, basically it was on Dan, and so they submitted $1,000 inquiry. I basically said no. I shot back like 20,000. We went back and forth a little bit, and then they finally got to 4,000. They're like, 4,000 is all I can do. I was hoping to try to get them to 10, but then I told them, I said, hey, the lowest I'm willing to go is 14. They walked away, I walked away. And then anytime that happens, I basically set 15-day, 30-day reminders on Google to go back and start price adjusting, trying to play the game. Because I know that they'll be watching the price begin to spike or dip or whatever. And so that happened over the course of about 3 months. And I finally set it to that 93.50 and woke up one morning and it was gone. So that's that.
Boom. Why did you pick 93.50?
Shoot, I'd moved that name around. It was like 21,888. Then I moved it to 17.5. Then tried 12.5. And then at that point, I just said, all right, let's just kind of go off script a little bit and put it at something. So 93.50 came to mind. I really didn't want to go that low, but at the same time, I mean, looking at CPC at what it was at that time, and knowing what I paid for it, I'm like, dude, you did well.
Okay, nice. Yeah, very nice. Cool, good sale. Congrats.
Yeah, that's a good sale. That's a good buy for the person that's gonna hopefully eventually use it. That's 3 loans, maybe, if it's smaller loans, to pay
Right.
all that back. So it's perfect for both sides.
Yeah, that's a really quick ROI for somebody. That's a good point, Shane. All right, Shane, what'd you buy or sell lately?
Well, I can make it more fun. One I already announced, but I can kind of go over. Maybe I'll go 2, but I'll just go ahead and start with the one, and these guys kind of know, but Travis and I sold NIQ.com.
N, like Nancy, IQ, NIQ.com, partnership domain that you sold.
Yeah, and I can't, because of terms of service, I can't get exact, but I can give enough information to know where we're at.
All right, cool, man.
But I think these two already read it on Twitter, so it might not be as fun to really say much. There's really not a guessing thing here.
You found the 2 like most active guys on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say there's only 4 people that read my tweets, and these 2 and my mom and wife are the other 2. So.
Okay, quick survey. Is anyone else's mom on Twitter? Because mine sure isn't.
My mom reads.
My mom is.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
My
impressed.
mom has read all my stuff, and she's not a overbearing mom, but she thinks that's the only way she can keep up with what I'm doing, because I don't call her nearly as much. I mean, I call her more than most people probably, but that's the only way she finds out what the heck I'm up to.
Says the guy who just took his mom to Hawaii.
That is true. I owed her. Yeah. So I'll just let me do that, and then I'll actually give a real one. So we sold NIQ through Brand Bucket, which is the reason I talk about it. Is you don't see a lot of people selling names in the 6 figures over Brand Bucket. So we had it listed for $250,000. And again, in Brand Bucket, you don't think about listing names that high, but once it's over 100,000, it's 10%, and that's as good as any broker around when it comes to a sale.
Yep.
And Travis handles the Brand Bucket side because he has a lot of good luck, and him and Margot get along, and Roxanne and the whole crew. So they have a really good relationship. So he handles that. And he emailed me one day and says, they're negotiating NIQ. And I go, you negotiate at Brand Bucket? And they said, oh yeah, absolutely. Once you on the higher end names, they negotiate for you. And it was, I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't that great, or at least I didn't think so. And then all of a sudden they come back and say, they're pretty close to our 250,000. Do you want it? And I thought, take it. I didn't want to negotiate. I was so surprised that it was really up that high, that I was like, I had a fish on the line, and all I was doing is just trying to make sure it came in. I didn't want to get fancy. I didn't want to, take pictures of it. I just wanted to get that fish in. And it went through, and I can tell you they handled it all just as you would in escrow. It was no different than if we'd have sold a $2,900 domain, except they only take 10%. Now their 10% is quite a nice chunk, but it was surprising that there is one more, you just don't think of them as that kind of place to sell. And I will have to say, and that's why I'm kind of saying is they can catch those. A brand's a brand. It doesn't matter if it's 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Brand Bucket seems to be able to handle all loads. So it was a really good sale.
That's pretty wild. And this, Shane, you really surprised me one of the last times we talked. How many 6-figure domain sales have you done now?
Well, I got 2, one more coming, I think. Again, 6 figures are so different because of the paperwork and the fundraising, and like on another one, you come up and after it sends you an email, the name's gone, and the wait for the money in your account a week later. On the 6 figures, they got to go to the investors and the board and cut the checks. And so I think the other one will go through. It's just taking a lot longer than I thought. The third one, I don't know. It seems so wishy-washy. People, you negotiate a price, you spend all the time, and you come to something, and then they just kind of disappear for weeks or days or whatever. And so I don't know. But yeah, I think I've got 2 6 figures. And I think I might have a mid 5 figures coming soon too. So it's been pretty good.
That's a lot of action. But NIQ.com, your first 6-figure domain sale ever?
Figure. And we bought it just to say that that name's been around the block. Somebody told me it was on Name Pros in 2007. Michael Sumner owned it, sold it for 8,500. Got sold 3 or 4 times. We bought it at Cedo last year for 19,000.
Wow.
So more than 10 times return. So
and Shane, that is completely how I would celebrate my first 6-figure sale as well, by going to a cabin without a toilet.
I did put my thing in for a Ford Bronco. That's kind of a little side gig.
Awesome.
That sounds a little more like you. Nice.
Yeah, no, that was okay. So real quick, since everybody's got a roll, so I did buy localproperty.com. Localproperty.com. Bought it a couple days ago.
Okay, localproperty.com. All right, Bowies, what do you think you bought it for?
I'm gonna say 21.5.
I'm gonna go with 11,000.
I'm totally with Sean. Sorry, Alvin. Shane's a cheap bastard. What did you pay for it, Shane?
Hold on, what did Sean say? How much?
11.
Oh, okay.
I think even less, but anyway.
Yeah, so I bought it for 2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good buy. There's people I work with that I bought solarhomes.com from the same person. And, we talk about this on the show all the time. When you build relationships, Drew does a great job with it. When you pay, if somebody gives you something, there's really no negotiation. If they want to get rid of something and the price is fair, I send them the money within 3 hours and get the domain. No second guessing, no trying to save $100. Just if you like the name, you buy it, and they keep coming back. You have people that when people get, I don't want to say a pinch, that's not where that person was, but they're just ready to get out of something. And so they call you and you get them the money and you get a good domain. And that's, you really want to build those kind of relationships, is being known as the guy that will take a name and get you some money quickly. It's a good place to be. So I don't know if I'm that guy all the time, but in this particular case, I am that person. And I have 3 or 4 people that I'll get some 4letter.coms that are solid letters, but they'll like, I need $300 or $400. Done. I'll pay.
Everybody has a different business strategy, and you need that funnel. And you need the funnel for what you're doing, and they need it for what they're doing, and it's just different. People have different profit margins.
Just because I have 6 figures in my bank account now doesn't mean that I'm just going to blow a hole in my pocket and go out and buy a bunch of stuff. I'm still going to wait for the right buys. I mean, when Travis and I we bought NWR during that same period as a 3-letter. When you see stuff that's going for cheaper than you think it should, then that's when you buy. You wait for the right time. Just because you have it doesn't mean you have to spend it right away.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's pretty easy.
Now, local property, I'm kind of interested to hear what Alvin and Sean, with both of their SEO expertise, what you think of that, because it's not the same as, Austin property or something specific. Is that better or worse than a specific geo? Do you recommend in general, like local pubs, local bars, local, I don't know what else?
I think property is a lot more of a lucrative niche than any of those. So if you're going to build out a site like that, it makes sense to tackle something where there's a lot of money and a lot of money changing hands often. That's what I think. I mean, it'd probably make a good directory site build out. I'm not sure what else off the top of my head what it would be good for, but that's my first thought.
And the same thing where whatever an end user pays to purchase that from Shane eventually, they just need to make a couple real estate sales and or if they're doing lead gen or whatever, and it'll pay for it. Whereas, I don't know, a restaurant, a bar, you're not going to get that kind of return. What do you think, Alvin?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing in terms of directory website or just a possible platform that lowers the commission. I mean, it's going to be lower than the typical 3%, let's say, that real estate likely garners in some cases, but that's where my mind went in terms of just directory website and likely a platform build out. But either way, it's going to be a heavy lift for build out.
Okay. What do you all think about pricing it? Sorry, that was my child. What do you think about pricing? Like, what have you listed it for sale yet, Shane? What are you going to list it for? And what do you guys think you
I
should?
usually try and get 10 times. So I think I got it at under 50,000 right now. And again, my feeling is the person to buy it, it's probably already built out the site. They just have a bad name. So they already have the back end built out, and it'll be like local properties of something, just a bad name. And so they think, oh, for 50 grand or 40 grand or whatever I get it, price it at, that I can upgrade the name tremendously and use my back end that we've already worked so hard to build. That's kind of my view of that. Most of the names that I sell are not people just starting something brand new. They've got something pretty good. It's on a terrible domain that nobody can find or nobody can remember. So that's
kind of an interesting thing you say, because I feel like over the years, pretty often, people who are selling domains don't factor in, they're like, well, I mean, you just get this domain and you'll have this business, or you'll be able to make this much money, but it's without factoring in developing a site. How can you tell, or what makes you, like you just said that a lot of the domains that you sell probably already have the other investment piece complete. How do you know or sense that? Is it a matter of which niches you're investing in, or?
Well, on a name like this, just as I said, the build out for something like that is tremendous. It's highly competitive. And again, most people aren't going to spend that kind of money unless they're pretty secure that what they have is going to generate revenue. If it hasn't been tested out, I mean, domains are a marketing tool. It is not the end all be all. A domain name doesn't make you a successful company. It certainly helps. It leads, it makes a road wider, it makes a road faster. But there are times where I'll say to somebody, you've got to put your money into your back end. If you put this kind of money, if you have X amount of money and you put it all in the domain and you got no money for the back end, nobody's going to succeed. You're going to have a domain as an asset and a company that sucks. You got to have a good company with a good domain. It has to be complete. That's what I tell people. There are times where I say, go with the worst domain, put your money, prove your business model, then buy the domain. And it's also why when we get a domain and say, okay, your company's young, we're going to give you a runway. We're going to give you a low down payment, a year of low payments, and then we're going to really ramp it up after a year, because you're going to need it to build your business. You can't take all your cash and put it into our name. And so that's a business person telling another business person, I know what it takes to get where you're going, and you're being a little over the top on putting it all up front. So let's give you a runway to build your business. And that shows me as the seller that I understand what they're doing and I want them to succeed. And they're more likely to buy my domain when I say something like that too, because there's like, hey, this guy, he's not just trying to make a buck. He wants to succeed so I can pay him more money for that domain.
Yeah, that's a really cool perspective.
So that's why I think that's really who I want to sell to, really. I want to sell somebody that's already successful that just was ramping up their company. So those are the kind of the markets I choose usually. Now, the ones under 3,000, I want some guy that's drinking, talks to his girlfriend, said, that would be great if I start a shower cap company. I'm going to buy shower caps, something. I want that to happen every night. And then it does.
Localshowercaps.com.
Well, I only say that because Amar and I got drunk one night. We started a shower company, a shower cap company. We spent 3 hours building the business model. Josephine's the CEO, by the way.
Funny, she doesn't really brag about that.
Well, we're trying to keep it on the down low for Shark Tank.
And that's really the great thing about DomainSherpa and so many other podcasts that are developing Kickstart Commerce, Alvin, that domain investors today are generally, I mean, look at the three of you, serial entrepreneurs, experienced business people who have something to offer when you do the negotiation that's beyond just negotiating a sale. You have some real insight into how to set up the financials for success. And I think that as the domain industry recreates the image of how the marketing world, the business world sees us, we just continue to add more and more value. That's I'm like, if I were a naive entrepreneur, I would be really fortunate to have an experience like what you just described.
Well, especially, you know, Sean's, when I see anything SEO or backlink issues or that's who I talk to. I mean, he knows more about that than anybody I know. I'm not going to say in the world, but anybody I know in the world that I can call. Travis, the same thing. So if anybody were to buy a name from him, they may not realize it, but they've got a resource that's probably as good as anybody they will ever meet that could help them. So yeah, there's some people that just buy and sell names. There's a lot of guys and girls in this industry that pretty much just flipping names, and they're not as great a business people, but there's some pretty brilliant business people in here as well.
And as an industry, we've really leveled up. Okay, speaking of the man himself, Sean, what'd you buy or sell lately?
I bought psilocybintherapy.com.
Quick, somebody spell that.
Psilo.
You.
And it's
trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go to fungi.com all the time. He's the man. What's his name again? The fungi guy? You know him, Sean?
No, I don't.
He's the microdose king. He has been for 30 years. He's on Rogan all the time talking about treatment and microdosing, how it's going to treat all addictions in the future.
Huh. Okay, so psilocybintherapy.com. And you bought it.
Yep.
All right. What do you guys think you paid for it?
You go, Alvin.
Oh man, shoot, I don't know, $350 maybe.
What do you think, Shane?
Well, I don't think he buys it unless it has a backlink history and has the ability to build it out. The key is where he got it and where, if everybody saw the backlink history, because on GoDaddy, it's crazy when people figure out and know what the prices can go for. I look at a name and I think that name is $12 by itself, and it's $12,500 with all the juice. So now it just depends on whether that's how he got it. So it could be all over the board. It is impossible to spell, but if it links, he's not going to buy unless it links. Well, I'll say $1,100. I'm just going to throw a number out there.
Okay. All right.
All right. So this is what happens when you get into a bidding war with one other person. I picked this one up for $4,051 at GoDaddy Auctions.
If you take out the other guy, what's it at? My number.
I mean, what would I have paid for it?
No, where did he jump in and you guys just keep rolling from?
Oh, I don't know. It was early on, so yeah. Who knows?
And do you know who it is? And would you ever find out and just partner with them instead if you're both interested in the same niche, or no?
No, I think I know who it was. I thought it might be Drew, but I wasn't. I found out it wasn't him, and I'm pretty sure I know who actually was bidding against me, because they buy a lot of the other similar names, and they just have a huge portfolio of, cannabis, mushroom, plant medicine type names. So I'm pretty sure that's who it was. But this one, it's like I have a lot of cannabis domains. That's kind of where I specialize, and I also specialize in building out versus just trying to buy and sell. So I bought this for a build out, and it's going to be one of those names that I wish I owned in like 5 or 6 years. Like, damn, I wish I had that name. So I paid out the ass now so that I would have it in 5 or 6 years.
Interesting. And so, I mean, this one, you're more buying closer to the end user use case than the wholesaler. So,
right. And that's why I think a lot of people that have been buying domains, for a long time at GoDaddy, like you guys were talking about on the last show with Josh and Drew, like it's a different landscape, because there's people like me, I'll come in and I'm happy to pay, way more than makes sense for an investor, because I've got bigger plans for the site. I'm not just looking, to 10x it or whatever, and that's a terrible price for that name if I was just trying to sell it.
Yeah, you're making the money off what you're building, and you have the skills and resources to build it out. Now, did it factor in, like, I don't know a ton about this stuff, but so psilocybin, for our listeners who don't know, it looks like basically the biggest thing to me is that 2019, the FDA said it's a breakthrough therapy for severe depression, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. So the timing on this, you feel like, is key, especially for 5 years down the road because of stuff like that? Question mark?
Right. And they're petitioning up in Canada to let terminally ill patients take psilocybin to help, with end of life stuff. I think it's going to, it's got a really long road, like cannabis had maybe 12 years ago, before it gets more widely accepted. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential to for it to be a helpful drug that people take, and I think there's a really good build out on this name.
Okay. And how cannabis, like, Drew has talked a lot how the cannabis industry doesn't like to be associated with the words like pot or weed, that's more lower end, and cannabis is more business like. With psilocybin, is there a range in that? Do people need to be educated in that?
I think it's too early to like really nail down the terminology, but I gotta believe things like shroom is not going to be as popularly used eventually, because of maybe the same connotations as like pot or weed, compared to like psilocybin or whatever other names come out. But I think this is a strong contender for.
Okay. So what I'm hearing then is, for people listening, it would be pretty speculative to throw a ton of money behind longer SLDs with, psilocybin, this, that, the other. But for someone like you, who's going to be making money off this within a couple of years, you can also link up and build up your current cannabis business off of this. It's a different scenario for you. But if somebody wants to spend a small amount of their portfolio on something speculative, this
might as well, if you can.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Hey, Sean, quick question. Like, how long does it take you to build out something like that?
I mean, I could throw up a website and some content in a week or two, but, I don't know that that's kind of the thing you should be measuring, just because it'll take, there's actually no backlinks going to this one. It was purely bought for the name. So when I do build a site, it's going to take a good 6 to 12 months to really grow roots and start to be, start to come up in the top spots for various keywords. Possibly, it's such a new niche that that might be shorter than if I was just starting like an insurance site or a real estate site. But I've got a team of writers and people that build sites, so the actual putting a site up will only take a couple weeks, really.
And then it'll be on the hunt for psilocybin backlinks like crazy.
Yeah.
Busted.
Yep.
Very cool. Super interesting variety of domains and verticals here, guys. All right, let's take a moment. I'll tell you about our advertisers for today's show who support us in our mission to educate the domain industry.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at FT.com. That's EFTY, FT.com.
All right. We're going to move on to the marketplace list. Generously sponsored by NameJet.com. We're reviewing domain names heading to auction soon. Like usual, if you like one of the domains on the list, you need to click through now to be able to see it later. So who is up first here? Shane, it's you. What jumps out to you here? Joe Sixpack?
Well, one of the names, I wish it wasn't on here because I'm gonna buy it, is sycamore.com.
Not he's gonna bid on it, folks. He's gonna buy it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna buy it. I'll probably pay millions of dollars for it. So don't even try. No, for me, it's a tree. It's everything. It's a tree name. It's a brand. If I'd have gone back and bought all the trees, like that's the one thing people say, you bought a lot of plant names. I couldn't even get on the trees back in the late 90s. The trees were already pretty expensive. The maples, the oaks, but sycamore is one that I'm going to buy. And that's the only way I can say it. I love the name. It's fantastic. It's also a big city that just it's where Northern Illinois is. And now I think Amazon or Facebook just built a huge center there as well in Sycamore, Illinois. So you're going to hear that name a lot more. So I love the name. I do think, and we may have to cut this out, so I'll take a pause.
Wait, I'm going to pause recording.
No, you may have to cut this out. But Picker, Josh was saying something about Picker not being really an expired name. It shouldn't be on this list. I don't know. Here, I got a truck going by, so we're really going to cut this out. Ready.
Okay, so we don't know what's going on with that. What else you like on the list, Shane? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Can I jump back for a second? So Sycamore, it's the connotation is what it comes down to. This is what like the great brandable domains are. It's the strength, it's the shade, it's the relaxing, whatever, Sycamore Park, Sycamore Lake, Sycamore. I'm not even saying it right now.
Singapore, Sycamore.
Anyway, okay, so what else you like on the list?
So, I like the other names. I don't think, a lot of them are non.com. So, stock images, obviously a huge term, but .org just takes it away. Unless you're going to give money to the people that don't make enough money on their stock images. I just don't like that. But I like names like Smart Motion, Health Pod. I'm long all health and wellness names. I almost don't care what it is if it's related to health, wellness, and is short at this point. I think the future, everybody's getting old. Everybody's getting fat, pardon my language, but everybody's just needs help when it comes to medical and mental wellness is something that we need to work more on and do better with. And so I'm long. I don't like the word pod, but I'd still will be a bidder on health pod just because it has the word health in it.
Okay. Yeah. And good point, matching like .org is generally for charity, 501c3s. So matching .org with stock images is weird, but maybe matching it, crimewatch.org makes a little more sense, or even immigration.info. Those two add up better than some of the others.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, I love that type. I'm even a .biz. If I'm a local business and I'm heating and air.biz or johnson.biz, I can remember .biz. I'm not saying you should go out, but if you're an end user and your last name's Johnson, you're not going to get a lot of .coms with that name. So if you could get johnson.biz, I can remember johnson.biz much easier than I can Johnson & Sons Heating and AC.com. So yeah. It comes down to marketing and memorability, how memorable the name is. And immigration.info for me works. I probably want immigrationinfo.com as well to go with it. Not worth a lot. Health pod, probably not a tremendous amount either. But again, it's a part of, I think everybody needs some health and wellness names in their portfolio that are fairly short. I like Interdoc. Sounds like a name that's been around since, I don't know the history. I didn't look up the names, but it sounds like a name that's been around for a long, long time. You know, documentation on the internet's obviously, since we're not be able to go anywhere, moving around documents and data on the internet's what we have to do. It could be it's amazing how just a online signature is a business now. Being able to sign documents legally and get notarization online is a huge business. That's crazy that's what one company does, is just does your online signature of documents, but that's how important it is. So those are some names I really like. Again, Sycamore is the big one for me. I'm adding thousands of dollars every time I mention it, but I love the name. I think, I'll give you a price. I think it's a $20,000 name. I think tree names are as valuable as you get. You don't get any more valuable than a tree.
Okay, you're completely shooting yourself in the foot. I thought for sure you would be interested in, Mr. Athlete, in joesixpack.com.
What's that? Is that a reference to something? I don't know what that means. Was that I remember the Joe the plumber, but I don't know. Is Joe Sixpack a term? I don't even know that term.
I thought it was like here, Urban Dictionary.
Is that a stomach or drinking?
Basically, it's just like some dude, like average, typical blue collar man.
Yeah, that didn't resonate.
It's the six pack of beer, not the six pack of abs.
That seems like a bigger goal to me.
It's not athletic at all.
Yeah.
I just knew I'd heard the term and I figured it was athletic, but
no, it doesn't resonate for me. And that's the beauty of domains. There are people who look at it and go, what an amazing name. There's another guy and girl that says, I have no idea what that means. It means nothing to me. So that's why we all can make money, because there's certain segments that we know so much better than other people. And this is not one of mine.
And there's enough opportunity in this industry where we can all still find our spot. All right. Yep. Okay. Thanks for taking a look. Not Joe Sixpack. Sean, you're up.
All right. So just, a little context, how I approach these names is from like a build out or SEO perspective, and less like, this is a good investment. I like Smart Motion. Smart, any keyword is really, it's a good naming convention. This one used to be a robotics company, and it still ranks in the top 10 for terms like Smart Motion Robotics. I think it ranks second for that, and Smart Motion, the brand, ranks 9th. So that's a super good sign if you are, if you have a robotics company or you're in the tech space and you're looking to pick up a name to build on. Like, it already has, has some juice, and Google still likes that domain because it's ranking. So I think that's, it's a decent pickup. I kind of like eTalks as a, like a detox product, whether you're talking like, from THC or alcohol or like natural health, I don't know, lemon and cayenne pepper. It also stands for, or can stand for, environmental toxicology. I saw that in the SERPs. There's a couple like colleges that use that terminology. I think that's a decent brandable. I do like that one. I like Sycamore too, but I don't have a 6-figure domain sell to throw behind it, so I don't think I'm going to be winning that one.
You just don't love trees.
You
just don't love trees the way I love trees.
Well, actually, like I think most tree or flower brands can make a really good cannabis, specifically cannabis brand, like meadow.com is one as well. So, I would love to acquire it just for that, but yeah, I disagree. I think tree brands are amazing. They're just expensive, and I'm not that rich.
Yeah.
So I would say, personally, from a build out perspective, I don't touch .infos. I think it's kind of a garbage extension from a build out perspective, personally. So I would say stay away from that. If you're looking to build something out, also, like Shane said, stock images. It's a weird .org unless you're building like, unless like it's an association of stock image photographers, but I don't think there's a lot of money there. So I would say that's not a good future build out. It feels like the kind of domain that like a beginner would see and be like, oh, that's a huge keyword. Like I'll pick that up and I'll, turn it around and sell it for 20x or something, but no one's going to buy that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. Good point.
Yeah. I told somebody the other day that, and this is kind of example, that's the kind of domain I would put under a dead trap, which is a trap that falls on an animal, or a beginning domainer. That's what you would put under a rock to catch a beginning domainer, because they think it's awesome and the rock falls on them. That's just, I get that all the time. But
that's the kind of garbage that used to be in my portfolio.
Yeah, that's everybody's portfolio.
Everyone. Yeah.
Everybody.
All right, Alvin, jump in. What do you think?
Yeah, so I saw Sycamore and I definitely thought of Shane. So I was like, I know that he is going to go after that one. That was like hands down. I'll say the same thing in terms of like stockimages.org, immigration.info. Like you really need to know what you're doing in that space. And so when I say you need to know what you're doing, like you need to have that 20 years experience in that given industry to be able to pull off, a build out like that. Otherwise, investment wise, you can find something else. Joe Sixpack, it probably would fall somewhere in the neighborhood of like a politics name. You likely have somebody running that'll throw out a phrase and there it is. They've coined, this new person, this new persona, if you will. Don't go after that name. I do like the Smart Motion Health Pod. The one that I really liked was inspections.com. Definitely from both an investment but also a build out. I think it could go either way, but like I said, you're going to have the experience to build it out and be in it for the long haul. It's not one of those, hey, I'm going to build this in a year and kick back on a beach somewhere. It's like, no, you're going to dedicate some time meaning likely to the tune of at minimum 3 years, maybe 5 years to truly dedicate what it's going to need to build that out. I do like Word Checker, and that's probably more so because of my own development background of being able to actually develop. And when I say develop, not only from a content standpoint, but actual functionality of something like that to make it fun, to make it more usable. I have another domain like that, automatic password, that's just, if you go there, it'll help you figure out passwords, and so you select just the kind of the criteria that you want, and then you create that, and so those are just things that you can build out on. Is there a lot of money in it? Probably not, but if it scratches your itch, then go after it. The other name was netstorm.com. And so I don't know if that's more just my technical background, that name is catching the eye, but it makes me think of some sort of software, sort of virus protection or something down those lines. The one that was interesting to me was probably the InterDoc, and Shane mentioned it, and the only thing that kind of made me shy away from it was, is it Inter I-N-T-E-R or Inter E-N-T-E-R? And so it just didn't necessarily pass the radio/podcast test for me, but still a good name. The other one was Cabbages. I'm like, stay away from that thing, only just because I know that the singular is already accounted for. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but I do know, or maybe it was cabbage and they spelled it with a K. But either way, I would probably say stay away from those as first-time investors.
All right. Yeah, good advice.
It actually, just real quick, it is Cabbage with a K. That's the brand, but Cabbage with a C redirects to Cabbage with a K.
There we go.
And as Drew loves to say, singular is usually much, much more valuable than plural anyway. So when you have like, you know how you talk about like ticking all the boxes, this is kind of ticking all the alarm bells of like, find something else to invest
That's
in.
just selling coleslaw, and then it's a great name.
Yeah, I buy a lot of my coleslaw online.
Oh, that's the best place to get it. Why limit yourself to local coleslaw?
Yeah, very limiting. I kind of like Thinkster. I mean,
It's a good brand. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not the kind of name you're going to pay a lot for. But it's a good brand. It's memorable. I was thinking inspections had the L. I always get caught in NameJet. I'm almost positive there was an inspections.com where the first letter was a L, and I put it on the newsletter.
this one definitely is not. This one is
I double checked it.
legit, correct.
Shane, there was interview, or
Interview. That's it.
yeah, that it wasn't interview, but it was
Interview.
Yeah.
An interview over
Okay.
lunchtime.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, all right.
But no, it's legit. Inspections. That's a huge name. I don't know how I missed it. Absolutely, probably the most valuable name on the board, especially with. I mean, think about your home alone. How many different inspections you have to have legally, or if you do put in a new bathroom, or I mean, just in general, it's a huge term.
Yeah.
That's not going to be your local guy buying that one.
And
now, is that the case? Sorry, is that the case where the plural is better than the singular? I guess it depends on what kind of site you're building.
I think if it's a service that you offer often, it can be plural. Like if it's something that's repetitive, I think it works. So if you do inspections, yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. Inspection.com. I think inspection.com is a good one as well. But the plural also works just because you also do inspections.
I have a strong opinion on this. I think that's a great question. So a lot of times you want the verb over either noun, right? But I don't think so in this case, because to inspect.com, A, sounds creepy, and B, that's not what the end user is looking for. I think most people, they're not looking for only one inspection. They're not, because like something like cabbage, the reason the singular is better is because it's a brand. Sycamore, it's a brand. You see that thing, you envision it in your head. Whereas this is more of a service than a brand. And I think everybody just says, like, you know.
But it's difficult because if you say deck cleaning, you don't want deckcleanings.com. You do lots of deck cleanings.
I agree, but it's super specific. Whereas inspections, it's like, I want to look up a couple, or usually you have to do a few at the same time. Like whether you're building a home, having a business, whatever. I don't know.
It works if you do multiple types of inspections rather than a lot of inspections. So if you're looking for a home inspection, you're not going to type in home inspections, plural. You're going to type in home inspection.
Yeah. But if you're not specifying what type of inspection, you're going to look up the plural, not the singular, I think.
So
and then
but what would be the use case for that?
Around. And I don't know if it's like just off the cuff. Like, don't you think like I know health inspections are done by the government and you don't go contract them like you do a home inspection or something. But I just feel like with all of the COVID changes in the world, everybody's getting inspected more or more. There's more.
It's like food and health
or structure. I don't know. I really like it. Anyway, okay. Before we jump into our next section, let's hear from our advertisers. Okay, so usually now we just kind of talk about what's going on in the market, in the world, but I know, so we're filming Tuesday, August 11th, and yesterday, you know, Alvin and Sean had some pretty busy days. Google unrolled something like crazy change, and then we're like, haha, now that we've ruined your Monday, just kidding. Tell us a little bit more about that, and like, even though they said just kidding, does that mean that in a week or 2 weeks they're gonna re-roll it out better? What's going on?
So yesterday it looked like Google rolled out a huge algorithm update because you know, SEOs like me who track their rankings like it's an addiction. Started seeing like really wild swings, like keywords that were in the top spot for the last 6 months were on like the 9th page. I mean, it's like really insane. They had in the SERPs, they had like PDFs ranking for big keywords in the top spots, which is just like, poor user experience. Google tries not to do that. They had sites with like more than one listing in the SERPs, which they also try not to do as of recently. It was just a mess, and everybody was going, what is happening? And so after a couple hours of, kind of freaking out, it turns out that Google started rolling that back, and they said officially that it was a bug that caused this. And I mean, you can put on your tinfoil hat and say, okay, it was probably just a bug, or they did try and push a big update, but it wasn't dialed in properly, or it behaved in an unexpected way with the algorithm and just was a garbage fire in the SERPs. And so, I mean, my personal, we'll see if I'm right. It comes out in a week. My personal guess is that they tried to roll something out and it didn't behave like they expected, and they're going to tweak it, and they're going to roll out a huge update again in a couple weeks. Personally.
Okay. And what's your sense of what they're focusing on, or why? Anything?
Who knows? Yeah.
Okay.
It's something that can become clear like several weeks after the update has rolled out.
Yeah. And the last big update, what was that really focused on? Which one was that?
They do so many now. I mean, it was probably just a core algorithm update where they tweak the settings of the algorithm to reward X over Y, whereas before, maybe that balance was a little shifted, and so it just stirs things up a bit. Okay. As opposed to like in the old days where it was like penguin or panda updates that target these very specific things.
Okay. What do you think, Alvin? I love your face throughout all of this. Like, you have so many feelings and thoughts about this, I can see.
I'm with Sean 100%. I will coin this as the gorilla glitch update. Because like I said, it changed so much. I mean, I had customers, like Sean said, that went from like page 1 ranking, so anywhere from position 1 to 10, and they wound up 40, anywhere between 40 and 60, and in some cases they lost traffic. I had one that lost traffic altogether, and so that was kind of the telltale sign. I'm like, those things don't necessarily happen. And we know that, especially when that you're not, doing black hat SEO, like you really have to start to question. And so I totally agree that, if everybody thinks this is go back to business as usual, I think we'll be having a different conversation again, probably somewhere. I mean, Sean, what do you think? Probably October, if not earlier than that, but. Mm-hmm. That's what I would definitely say. Just kind of keep your eyes peeled for. But Google, I've just given you your name for that update, Gorilla Glitch. So we go from Panda to the Gorilla update. I like it, and we'll mess with everybody's ranking. So everybody needs to saddle up.
Yep. I mean, the thing is, like, even though, like, if I suspect this is just a large update that will roll out in the future, like there's nothing you could do with that knowledge. Mm-hmm. It's like, just keep trying to build good stuff, and don't bend the rules too much, and just keep an eye when things get crazy, and don't react in a big way. Let the dust settle, figure out what they changed, and then work to meet those new standards.
Okay. And how much do you think that's going to impact domain name values?
I doubt anything. Well, I shouldn't say anything. In most cases, I don't think Google will impact domain names like they did when they stopped having exact match domains be as valuable to ranking well as they did in the past. I mean, they try and do stuff all the time where they like take the they take the domains out of the SERP, so you don't see the domain name that's listed. but I'm not sure it'll have that big of an impact.
I think, and Sean, I don't know if you'll necessarily agree with this, but you probably will. But I think the people that it likely hurts are those that are developers of domain names, obviously into websites that are looking to flip their name. So they develop a domain, they grow it, and then they flip it for a profit. Like if I'm someone that's going to buy a name, I'm probably going to push the brakes until after this next update. But if I'm someone that's developing these sites, like if you've got an offer there, you might want to take it, depending on what the layout is and what the payout is.
Okay.
And as a buyer, exact opposite of that. If you're buying a site that is completely built on Google's ranking, and that's the entire source of income that you're going to pay back that name, you better hope nothing changes, or you're going to have nothing, and you're going to have a big pile of dust in your hand. Yeah. So, it's the old days of like in 2007, 2008, we'd go and we'd build a name and we get it on Reddit or we get it on Dig and get tons of traffic and build it out, put it on, what was Flippa's original Site Point? You put it on Site Point and sell it there. And we used to sell websites all day. And then, it got to the point where they say you have to guarantee traffic for a certain period of time. And so we'd guarantee we'd keep it rolling for about a year. And then when our time was up, drop the traffic and that person would be holding dust. And so that's where domain names are assets. Everything within it just depends how it's built out and where the traffic is and how it's, if it's drop ship versus Google traffic versus that's where business, you got to know what your business is and what you're really buying when you buy something above and beyond your domain name. It's just not numbers. It's got to be something real.
Well said. Yeah. All right. Anything else we should hit on the market today, or should we wrap it up?
No, I will say one thing that I thought was interesting. Remember MicroStrategy bought, they sold voice.com. Well, they decided to take 250 million of their money, and because they thought the dollar was weak, and they put it into Bitcoin and gold, which I thought was really interesting. That it's called MicroStrategy, and it is a publicly traded company, a large billion-dollar company. Ooh. And they do they do domains, I think, are a huge asset. And now they think Bitcoin and gold. So it's just amazing to watch major companies think that these alternate assets have great value. It just proves more and more that they really do. They're willing to put that kind of money into domains, and their domain portfolio is beautiful, and now into Bitcoin. So it's really great just to see everything coming together like we thought. Like the world is so much bigger than just what you can hold and what you can do. You can really build on some things. And a company like MicroStrategy is, I think that's what it's called. I hope it's right. MicroStrategy.
It is. Let me frame this for our audience just in case, right? So MicroStrategy.com in June 2019, so about a year ago, they sold voice.com for 30 million. And the fact that they knew its value says a lot about their understanding of the market, their understanding of domain names as assets. And then I really like this. So this is just like breaking news 4 hours ago. I had not heard this, but I like, just for our Sherpa network, whoever's listening, I like this tweet from CoinDesk. It says, MicroStrategy, a NASDAQ listed software firm worth $1.2 billion, has bought $250 million in Bitcoin as a, quote, reasonable hedge against inflation, end quote. So, I mean, that's huge, not only for Bitcoin, but also domains, alternative assets, and seeing how, where forward-thinking visionaries are going. Wow. For a guy without a toilet in the middle of nowhere, you're sure well-informed.
I don't even like Bitcoin. I don't see any value in Bitcoin at all. But with moves like this, it just depends who, you know, I just don't like the Winklevoss twins to be leading my asset, rally. That's just when I think of something, the Winklevoss twins aren't my leaders. That's just, and it's like, but I said the same about Elon Musk, brilliant man, crazy as a loon, but super brilliant. So he's proven me otherwise. So don't listen to me. They're crazy people can lead us to great things. But that is a big news. Things like that are big deals. That's not small amount of cash. And
Yeah,
they
and
really
that's
do
going to
know what
affect
they're doing.
all the markets. It's also going to affect a lot of movement of money.
But it didn't affect Bitcoin. Bitcoin actually went down 2% after the announcement. So
why is that?
Because the markets can stay crazy longer than you can stay soluble.
Huh.
That's why.
All right.
That's how it works.
Bitcoin today, $11,394. Interesting.
Yeah. Crazy world. But,
yeah. Huh.
Yeah, that kind of news made it here to the woods first.
Wow.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah, Crow told me. Somebody sent a raven. And that was what's on his leg was. Buy Bitcoin.
All right, what's going on? Any shout outs, anything personal? What's up? Shane, you're first.
No, I'm taking a much needed break. COVID has been obviously a horrible situation, but when you sell live plants and things that make your house look prettier in your safe space, and domains and online stuff, it's been an amazing, amazing year. It's been my best year ever as far as financial, and just really, I've written this a lot of times, as being a leader. I say that in times of trouble, someone's got to stand up and be positive and lead others to the light and say, this will be okay. And I'm not saying that I'm a leader, but I just felt like, goodness, people, you can stay home and bitch and you can complain and you can say all the problems, or someone's got to tell us about what we need to do and where we need to go and how we're going to get through this, and that things will be okay. And this year, that's what I've done. There's things that we do have to do. You do have to wear a mask when you go out in public, and you do have to stay out of large crowds. It's a pretty simple scenario, but it will be okay. And there's a lot of amazing things going on, and there's a lot of great achievements that we're doing. We're learning so much from this, that when we do come out of it, that I honestly think we're going to be a better place. I know the riots and the movement is a long time coming. I mean, all these things that are happening, I want to see riots and civil unrest? No, but I do want to see what's coming of it, and it's stuff that can't be let go. So, I know this is a long speech, but there's amazing changes going on. This is the year that we'll remember for more than COVID. There's going to be some changes and some things that we move forward. I grew up down south. I never understood why we had Southern leaders of the civil rights or Civil War up on monuments. Even as a kid, I'm like, wasn't he on that side? Hold on, I don't get, I'm 5 years old and I figured out that was crazy. So again, I think it's an amazing year. I know that people are dying. I know that things are tough, but when the internet has come to where it is today, and now people know how important it is, and we're all sitting there waiting for them, that's been amazing. And to have people sitting at home, it's okay. I think we probably needed to be home a little bit more sometimes than we are. So that's my speech. That's why I'm sitting in the woods thinking about it, doing nothing but reflecting.
Yeah. Yeah. Shane, I agree. Like 2020 is a year of really seismic shift for humanity, probably. I take slight issue, and I know you probably didn't mean it, but I don't think it's so much people sitting at home bitching as just, it can be emotionally overwhelming what, different people are experiencing in this isolation and change and uncertainty. But I think people like you, Shane, who come in with such positivity, I think you bring that little photosynthesis, where you can take the sunshine, you can and find a way to absorb it and grow from it.
And that's what I'm saying. There's too many windows, or too many mirrors and not enough windows. Like everybody's looking out the window complaining and talking about others, but they're not looking in their mirrors and working on themselves. That's really what I'm saying is, you do what you think is right, and quit telling everybody else what you think they should do. I think that's what I told my daughter the other day. I said, take out the mirrors and open the window. That's, or yeah, rather the opposite. Quit looking out the window, look in the mirror a little bit, and let's work on ourselves. Let's be a little better. That's what I said the other day when I was a kid in Alabama. That's what they always told you for the truck. They always told you to go be better. That's what I always remember is go be better. And that's what we all need to do is just work on ourselves a little bit. Stay at home, work in the garden, just become a little bit better person. I know that sounds cliche, but it's pretty simple
Well,
thought.
I mean, what else are we going to do? We're all at home. Alvin, what's going on?
Not much. I'm going to tell everybody, though, stay safe. So stay safe. Do what you can. Wear your mask. Think of other people. In terms of just what I got going on, obviously, I don't know about anybody else on the call, but I'll be attending NamesCon. Looking forward to it. I'll actually be presenting part 2 of guarding your domain portfolio against economic downturn. So be on the lookout for that. Just wrapped up the presentation from the domain show that I did a presentation over domain tools, or rather 6 components to launching your website. And so you can see that full presentation at domaindevtools.com. And that's all I have.
Super cool. Thanks, Alvin. Sean, Markey, what's happening?
Yeah, not much. I'll just say, if you want to see what I'm up to, I run a weekly-ish domain newsletter that talks about specifically domains with some SEO value, or that you can build a solid brand on. If you want to sign up, it's free. I made like a little short address. It's just Sean, that's SEAN, the Irish way, Sean.2, and it'll take you to my site, and you can sign up and read more about me. And yeah.
Very cool. Sean dot the number 2, what?
TO.TO.
SEAN.TO. Like it.
Yep.
Very cool. All right. Nice. Thanks, man. I've been having, speaking of NamesCon, a lot of conversations with them. Very exciting to see what they're putting together. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Should be super show for being online. It's going to be new and different, but I think they're really bringing in some quality content. So thank you to each of you for jumping on the show today. I know how much our audience appreciates learning from you, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Bye,
Thanks.
y'all.